Welcome to Melting Plot, an actual play podcast that features a cast of characters randomly selected from popular fiction. Each season, our heroes attempt to survive an apocalyptic scenario to find out how their characters might handle themselves at the end of the world. If you're new to Melting Plot, I recommend that you start at the beginning of the season so you can experience the story the way the players do. This is Season 2, and Middle-earth is in peril. Frodo was unable to destroy the One Ring, and Sauron's army covered the world in hatred and darkness. What little hope remains is tied to the fate of a few heroes willing to resist. But will it be enough? The three-story tower is veiled in this moonlight that peeks out through the clouds as it drifts in front of the moon and then reveals it once again. And when it shines over the town of Brackenshore and shines over the guard tower that the four of you are now resting in, it seems calm, eerily so. But every once in a while, you hear a massive crash or the movement of that creature to remind you that you're not alone.
Bruce's nostrils flare as he looks around at each one of you in the room, and he says, we have to get out of here, otherwise you're going to have two monsters on your hands.
Right now?
Two monsters? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
That's right, you weren't conscious, I forgot. I don't really know how to explain it, but I just have to ask that you take my word for it. If we have to get me out of here, at the very least, I need to get out of here, and I need to get out of here immediately.
I'm tired of you being so mysterious and evasive. What do you mean I can't really explain it? You've got to know
I'm not
something.
trying to be mysterious. Bruce takes a moment and he kind of calms himself, closes his eyes.
Jasmine steps between them, and she kind of looks at Bruce like almost for permission, but then she looks back at Archer and she says, he changes. He gets bigger and stronger, and he changes into something else that he's afraid of.
Just like that, you just change into something else?
Something else inside of me. And the less you know about it, the better.
If we need to leave, though, do we need to leave now?
We need to leave as soon as we can.
Right now, that creature is still thrashing around out there, and that distraction hopefully kept it from coming this way, but I would rather wait till we can't hear it anymore. Maybe wait till it goes to sleep, perhaps. Maybe it's nocturnal, I don't know, but I would rather just sleep here in relative safety, heal up the last of our wounds, and leave first thing in the morning.
I agree. I think we're much more likely to run into the thing leaving right now. It's obviously out there tearing the town apart. And the horse.
I guess you aren't recognizing that you aren't in relative safety if I'm in the room with you right now.
Then why'd you come back?
I think I can do some good. And he looks over at Jasmine. For your father, at least. Maybe undo some of the damage that I've done.
And what damage is that?
Fortunately, I don't have a good answer for that.
Hey, look, I'm tired of your shit. What are we doing? We don't even know. Where would we go if we left?
What do you know about this monster?
It's huge. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before or heard of. And believe me, I know a lot of things. I wouldn't want to cross paths with it. It looks like it's got some kind of impenetrable bone armor, and it's got spikes and pincers and a tail, and it's gruesome.
Can I have a vigilance check from each of you, please? It's difficulty hard, but throw a setback die in because you're in the middle of a heated conversation. Bruce?
1 success, 2 threat.
Jasmine?
Raja got 1 threat, and Jasmine got 2 failures, 3 threat, and a triumph.
Archer?
5 successes, 1 triumph, and 4 threat.
Bones?
Gosh. 1 success with a triumph and 3 threat.
So you hear horses. You hear a lot of horses, like half a dozen horses, and you can hear them in kind of a gallop from somewhere outside of the city. So as you remember, you are in a guard tower. It both points inward and outward, out into the plains beyond, and out of the city is where you hear that. Jasmine, and I guess anyone with a triumph, but specifically to Jasmine, you hear the soft caw of a bird somewhere above you.
I assume there's one main road that runs through the city. Are they coming from, like, the Mirkwood side or from where we're headed?
Because of the way the architecture of this building and this town are constructed, there's just enough sound bouncing off of the hard surfaces that it's hard to pinpoint a position. But you hear the indications of the monster, too, somewhere in the city still. He hasn't gone back to sleep, but he doesn't appear to be close enough to endanger you at this moment.
Wait. Do you hear that?
I hear Iago.
Those are horses.
We have to go now.
Have to go? No, I think we have to hide. We have to hunker down. Where are we? We don't even know where we're going. We can't just run off into the night. We've got one horse. We're not going to outrun a dozen horses.
Then we need to hide.
That is just what I said.
That's a good idea, Princess.
I'm going to get a perception roll from Iago, who's searching for you now. I think it's hard, and I think because you guys recently had a fire that you put out, which is now kind of still shooting a little bit of smoke up into the air, he gets a boost die. Does that make sense?
Yeah, probably this.
There's a chance that the monsters eat them.
Succeeds with a threat.
The threat is the monster.
What would you like the threat to be?
I don't want it to be the monster.
Monster eats Iago.
Yeah, do we just want him to see Iago? Do we want to just roll with that danger?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Seems like a zone of danger.
What about if Iago sees the monster instead, as a threat? Because then it changes how he behaves.
You guys decide on something, and then we'll figure out something. So it's going to be bad for Iago. It's his threat. So you select something, and we'll make it work. The thing is, it will paint what happens in the rest of the story.
The monster's
The monster sees him.
Yep.
Yeah, the monster sees Iago.
The worst idea ever,
it's
but
so
we're
bad.
going for it.
Okay.
You killed us all.
No, but the monster doesn't see us. It sees Iago.
Iago flies down to the tower and actually lands on the top, like the third floor of the tower. You can see, because the floor is broken away, you can see up through the crumbled ruin of the tower that he is there and has seen you. But very quickly after, he seems to notice something else in the city as well. And Iago takes off into the air and flies somewhere maybe deeper into the city or out of it, but you hear the monster moving too. Now, away from you in what you assume is the same direction as Iago.
We should go while the monster is chasing Iago. We should leave now or hide. I don't know where we would hide though.
We gotta get out of here. We're just gonna start to stand up.
There's nothing but fields out there. Where are you going to go?
It's better than what we have here.
In what world are fields better than stone and towers and houses and places to hide?
If you know of a place to hide, then let's go there.
We're surrounded by places to hide.
The brewery must have a cellar. We could hide in the cellar. No one's going to find us down there.
Okay, let's go. Jasmine starts packing up, like just throwing in blankets or whatever as fast as she can. Stuff.
You pack your things and you head out into the city. And as you leave the guard tower, are you taking your horse or are you leaving him behind?
I think we have to leave the horse behind.
So as you leave this tower and you head out into the city, now the moonlight shining through, there are no clouds obscuring it. So you can see fairly clearly the path in front of you. And you can see here and there down the long stretches of road that are in front of you, some remnants of the monster from when he moved through here searching for you or going after the horse. And now that you've left the tower, you can hear clearly the hoof beats outside the city. Are you sneaking? Are you moving quickly?
We're running as stealthily as possible, trying to find that middle ground of speed and quiet.
Okay. So for the stealth check, we're just going to have the worst of you, the person who has the worst stealth, roll it against anything that can hear you. Each of you can provide a boost die to that person, though, if you have a better check than he does. The difficulty is average, but upgrade it.
Bones fails with an advantage.
Okay. As you're creeping your way through slowly, everyone in the group is fairly good at staying silent, except for Bones, who continually picks his way over pieces of rubble that scatter about, or that he falls to his knees, and his armor, because you have a big shield now, just clanks against the weapons that he's holding. And it's not one moment of like, he steps on a branch and it snaps. It's just constant him failing to get through to the cellar without making noise. At one point, You're heading towards the cellar. You look down a side street connected to the street that you're on, and you can see the remains of your horse. And because it's cool, because it's night now, you can see steam rising from the carcass. You wouldn't even know that it was Sven, except that you just recently sent him out to die. When you finally arrive at Parsons Brewery, it's uncertain to you who's heard you, but you've certainly made enough noise that it could be anyone. Parsons Brewery is how you remember it from the day before Archer and Bruce when you two interacted here. It's largely in ruin. There are a couple of crates here and there still that remain unopened. And you assume there is a cellar. That's a safe assumption. But because of all of the rubble and because of all of the broken chairs and tables and maybe pieces of wall or ceiling, you don't immediately see it. So if you're searching, take a perception check to do so.
What do you want, a heart?
Yeah, hard.
2 success, 2 threat.
Parsons Brewery has a fairly large storeroom that they also use to brew beer. So when you enter that room, it's got kind of a cold, damp stone wall on the floor and one of the sides to keep it from getting too musty in here. A lot of wood has been removed from it, but you do see a staircase at the far end that leads down somewhere subterranean into the dirt or the ground. It's a stone staircase. The threat, Archer, as he draws your attention to the cellar itself, to the stairs leading down, you turn back and you can see right under the counter in the front room, the room that does not have the staircase, an unopened crate, assuming it's full, would have 12 Parsons Autumn Wheat Ale. Worth 1 coin apiece, 15 for the unopened crate. Also, fairly decent booze. And just as you hesitate for that one moment, look back to see it, you see Iago drift in front of the window outside as he kind of swoops down and seems to have been tracking you from Bones' noise, and then back up into the air. And somewhere far distant, you hear that monster move again, probably still searching for Iago, but unable to track him completely because of his speed and ability to fly.
Do you think he saw us?
I don't know. It's possible.
Should we hide here? Should we find somewhere else?
I'll give you a story point if you go for the booze.
You'll give me a story point.
Mm-hmm.
Archer would totally go for booze.
Archer cannot control himself. We should hide here. And he quickly does like a combat roll towards the bar and grabs the...
Jasmine's gonna bolt for the staircase down.
Bruce?
Bruce is going to watch Archer combat roll towards the booze and kind of like look down and scratch the back of his head real quick, and then just bite his lip and follow after Jasmine towards the stairs.
Bones?
The back room isn't visible from outside, correct?
No, there is one door leading to it that you could see through that doorway if it were open, but most of the back room, it's big. It would be obscured by the walls of the establishment itself. So you could see if you're standing right in the middle of the doors. Some of the walls have probably also crumbled away, so in parts here or there, like if you're standing up against it, they might be able to see, through the crumble of walls if you're not careful.
I don't think he's going to light it until he gets downstairs, but I think if he doesn't have a torch, he's going to try and find something that he could, some cloth and some wood or something.
Probably street-wise to find the right pieces. It's easy because, cloth and ore are probably the easiest things to find.
I have 2 advantage.
So, I don't know. You don't find the right pieces in time for this next event to happen. You can do what you'd like with the advantage. As Bruce and Jasmine descend into the cellar and Archer combat rolls behind the counter, you reach for the crate. And certainly, all 12 Autumn Wheat Ales are there. And you feel like that's a victory. But just as you go to rise, you hear large, heavy footfalls from the road outside. And you can see, because this is the whole, imagine Parsons as a corner building, so along, 2 sides of it, there are windows. And you hide back behind the counter just in time to hear and see, through maybe peeking out from around the side of it, the monster. And he's moving in the street. and he's actually kind of moving slowly, and it keeps him somewhat quiet. But because of his weight, there's no way he could hide from you, because each step cracks the cobblestones beneath, and you hear him start to smell. And he kind of turns his head, and he looks every which way. Seems to remember seeing Iago here, or maybe is sensing that there are people nearby. He stops. He listens. He turns and looks in. Bones, you can kind of see this through maybe where the plaster has fallen away from one of the walls, so you're looking out between two very thin boards from the back room. And you see the creature, and it takes up the entire road. Archer, can I have a stealth check, please? It's an average check. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Archer fails with 1 advantage.
So you're hiding, Archer. And it seems to stay there for a while. It's looking around. And just as you think, hey, maybe it's gone now because you haven't heard it for a while, you peek out once again, and you can see its massive form still there in the road. And just as you kind of slowly press your back to the counter, you hear a bottle fall over, land on the counter, and roll. And the monster doesn't seem to hear it yet until it falls off of one of the shelves and shatters on the ground. The monster immediately turns, and it sticks its head in through one of the windows, shattering that window. And I think as you're just kind of pressed up against the wall, you realize that it knows something's here. And now it starts to it doesn't have the momentum to do this quickly, but it starts to tear out the wall to get into the building towards you. And it does this loud, fully consuming roar that echoes now to everyone here, including the people down in the cellar below, as it starts to tear in through the front of this building, and it's pressing off with its back feet, kind of tearing stuff apart, trying to get towards you. As you kind of peek up just to see it and notice that, hey, yeah, it knows you're in there, you can see its face now. So close to you, you can smell the deep kind of stench of its breath, this all-consuming, unholy smell from whatever it's been eating and has decayed between the bone spurs in its mouth. Bones, you can see now, too, through the cracks in the wall that Archer has seen it, and it has seen Archer. And he's kind of, just for a moment, frozen there, staring at it. And what you see in front of you is such a large form. Its head is bigger than any of you, and there are bone fragments that have kind of jutted out from its skin in every which way, which seem to protect its hide, but also serve as weapons. Like its mandibles itself have just kind of grown these large bone spurs that it probably uses to rip and tear the flesh of the things it's eating.
I think Archer is going to quickly jump and kind of duck and tuck and roll and try to get around the creature. It's sort of you said it's in the corner.
Yeah, the building is the corner of a street. Yep.
Yeah, and so he's going to quick get around the creature because he's big, hopefully not very agile.
Yeah, and he's probably a little stuck as he's wedged himself in through the
so
wall.
So he's going to try to break, either go through a window, go through whatever opening, to roll around, dodge, duck around, whatever. And while he does so, he's going to scream, "Danger zone!" Woo!
I'll take an athletics check. You can use coordination if you'd like to, but it'll be a harder check if you use coordination.
Well, my coordination is 3 pips. Where's my athletics? Oh, athletics is 4 pips.
Okay, it's an average check. You can actually take a boost die too, because he is wedged in and stuck.
Jeff, can I use those advantage that I pocketed earlier?
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing this anyway, but I think Bones is going to try and throw his heavy shield, knowing that the monster is still going to end up pursuing Archer, but even if that just takes a moment of distraction away from him, because it's going to make a hell of a loud noise across that stone floor.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That would
So
give
just
him...
add an extra boost.
It would add him a boost die.
Perfect. Success and 3 advantage.
So the shield goes out, and it clatters off near the other end of the brewery, and it's enough that the creature turns and it looks at it just for a moment and gives Archer that one crucial moment right at the beginning to break away and move to the other side where the shield did not clatter, and vaults over the counter, crosses the room, and vaults out a window. And the creature notices him now as he moves by it and kind of turns, but he's wedged in, so he's struggling to kind of pull himself out. And Archer, once you're in the street, in front of you is a wide open street with several branching paths and a lot of storefronts and buildings, houses. Where do you go from here?
Archer is going to say he's going to run down the street, straight down the street, because he wants the creature to see at least to see a direction. He's going to run straight down the street until the creature turns out, and then he's going to cut.
So the first leg of this chase is just a straight run, trying to escape from the monster. So I'll take an athletics check from you, and it's versus his athletics check.
Okay.
You freaking giant. Why'd you do this? Your dad, he ate you. He ate you.
Fast?
His athletics just ate you.
1 purple,
1 purple.
4 reds.
Oh my god.
Holy smoke.
See?
You have story points.
I know. I might use 1.
Whatever you want.
I'm going to use 1.
They're for the team.
Okay, you're using 1 story point to upgrade it. I will not use 1, so you're good.
Thanks for that. Yeah, that was, yes. Oh,
It's like
the
a
great
pre-confident
altruistic Get GM. We thank you for your benevolence.
Oh, man.
Okay, well, that's a failure.
Obviously.
And
No despairs,
a
though.
failure and 2 threats.
Okay. You take off running, just in this mad sprint, and Archer's pretty quick, but this creature's huge. So as he tears his head out from the building, and the rubble of the front of this building just kind of sprays across the floor and lands, clatters in the street, it obviously sees you, which is your intent, and it tears off after you. And Bones, you can see this now, how quickly this creature moves, not because he's fast, but because he's so big. So each step takes him so much closer, and he very quickly catches up to Archer. And Archer kind of dodges around as his feet land. He's doing these kind of swipes, swinging at Archer, and Archer's kind of under his body at one point when he's trying to dodge out of the way of his swipes. To your left and to your right are buildings. There is a branching path somewhere down a little bit further if you'd like to make for that, Archer. But at this point, those buildings are probably your safest bet.
Archer is going to juke really quickly into the building to his right.
So you stop. You land on your front foot and you pivot backwards and then turn so that you can go right into that building. Are you going through a door or through a window? Cinematically, what's cooler?
Window.
It's a window.
Always windows.
It's always a window.
It's gotta be. You dive roll through the window. And you land on the other side. It's a small hovel, house that has built up. Maybe one of the first houses that was built here because its architecture doesn't seem to match a lot of the other buildings, but a lot of them don't anyway. So the building that you're looking at has a staircase directly in front of you, and it leads up to the 2nd floor. There's probably no basement here. There's no cellar. On either side of the staircase is another room. So on your right, you're looking into what probably is a family room or a living area, and then to the left is a kitchen. It's a smallish building, and there are windows out the back, out to the sides, or you can go upstairs. When you dive in here, the creature walks a few steps forward because of its momentum, turns, pivots, and comes back towards you.
Archer's going to run. He's going to go to the kitchen and see if there's like a scullery back door or something.
How do we do like a luck? I want like a roll luck. Is there a back door? Probably, maybe. You want to do a fate die?
Sure.
Just don't roll a negative. We don't need to find out.
It's just 50-50 and then please.
Negative.
Oh, god damn it.
You run into the kitchen. And you're looking around. There are windows, but they're too small to get out of. And as you kind of wheel back, because there is no door here, you see that the creature has now squared up in front of the building and starts pressing its head in through the doorway, which shatters it off its frame. So now you're facing it. It's looking at you. There's a narrow window that you can escape between it and where it's pressing into the wall, but it's got you almost cornered now.
You said there's an upstairs, there's a staircase. Is that?
There is, but you have to sneak around its head and get up there, which means if you fail, you're in range of its.
He's gonna quick make a break for the stairs.
Yeah.
Running up the stairs with the intention of going out an upstairs window.
Yeah. So this will take you right in front of its head as it's bearing in through the doorway, and you have just that moment where it's stuck on the building itself. it can clearly break through these buildings with no problem, but what it doesn't want to do is lose you in the rubble. Obviously, that's happened enough where it's trying to kind of get through in a way that it can just see you and bite you without breaking everything apart and potentially losing its prey. So it is trying to get through and hasn't fully broken through quite yet. It is wedged in, again, the front of this building, and you can sneak by its face, or try to get to those stairs. Again, this is going to be athletics or it's going to be coordination. Coordination's actually an easier check this time. It would be average, upgraded once. If you use athletics, it will be hard, upgraded once.
Coordination. Here we go.
Oh.
Is that a failure with a despair?
Yeah, that's bad.
Yes, failure with a despair. And failure, despair, and one advantage. The advantage is it doesn't hurt.
I mean, you can use the advantage to give him a setback die, but I think he has to get an attack with his slavering maw.
No,
You done died, kid.
Well,
You made a good run of it.
So you try to sneak by, and a piece of your garment gets caught on maybe a loose nail, and you just struggle for that one moment, the one moment it needs to lash out with its slavering maw. I have 6 uncancelled successes. That's 13 damage. Pierce 2, and I have a triumph.
yep, that's enough. That he is out. 0
He's
hit
done.
points.
Takes a couple of criticals, but I don't think it's going to matter because as you try to sneak up the stairs, maybe you think you make it. Maybe you tear yourself free from that nail that's sticking out of the wall and holding your garments, and you start to head up the stairs, and you think you're free until you feel these bone spurs collapse on your ankle and pull you back down the stairs, and you turn. Maybe you fire your crossbow at it, but it's inconsequential. It pulls you out into the street, Archer. Bones, from Parsons Brewery, which is maybe 30 meters down from where this is all happening. You peek out from around the door, and you can see as this monster pulls Archer back into the street. Kind of throws him up into the air and claws at him with its large, sharp claws. Archer, as he's kind of tumbling in the air, attempts to fight back. Maybe he pulls out his sword or tries to reload another bolt, but he lands on the ground. His weapons go wide and rattle, clank on the cobblestones, and the creature starts to tear into him.
As Archer is being shredded, he kind of in disbelief because he's always escaped. He's always had the upper hand. He's always at the last minute been able to find a way out, and he's realizing now he's just overcome by his own mortality as it's being leached away, and he just is kind of cursing and he's like, "I'm not crying. Guess this is how I go, saving the world one princess at a time."
Bones, you can hear the horses now. The ones that were once outside of the city have now entered. That monster can hear it too, and it takes one last bite of Archer, tears some of his flesh off of him, and then storms down the road after those horses. You duck back inside the brewery, just in time that it misses you as it runs past. When you look back out, you can see Archer still moving in the streets, bleeding out.
Bones sees all this. He ducks back into the brewery quick to grab his medicine bag, and then tears down the road, hoping things aren't as bad as he knows they are. He comes upon Archer's mangled body. He tears open his medicine bag and begins pulling out things to try and save him. Opens up one of the bottles of beer that he had grabbed to try and disinfect the wound, something to wash away the blood, only to realize that it's to no avail.
There's nothing you can do.
Damn it, Archie, you're a spy, not a hero. What were you thinking? What were you doing?
Not a hero? Well, I guess I just proved you wrong. Ha!
always with the last laugh. Here. And he hands him the beer.
You hold the beer out to Archer. He's still staring at you, but it doesn't appear there's any life left. He doesn't reach for the beer, and you know. As the moonlight shines down on the street, veils everything, bright enough that you can see everything, the full extent of his wounds. You're holding the beer. He doesn't take it.
Bones at this point is overwhelmed. Archer had been given their age almost like a son to Bones. An annoying, terrible son, but one that he loved. And I think at this point, he begins packing up his bag, putting things away through the tears, takes a moment, lifts the beer. We'll share this one last one. He takes a long, hard swallow of it. It's cold. And he feels cold.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to connect with us, you can shoot us an email at meltingplotpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter @plotmelting. All music was written and produced by Zachary James Kolkman. Sound designed by Jeff Henders and Zachary James Kolkman. Jasmine from Aladdin was played by Rachel Kamstra. Bruce Banner was played by Zachary James Kolkman. Sterling Archer was played by Silas Sheffer. Leonard Bones McCoy was played by Tippett. And I am your host, Jeff Henders. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.